The Johnson family stepped out of their car, the crisp morning air tinged with excitement. Andrea adjusted her scarf as she looked up at the towering structure of the Grand Serenity Hotel, a luxurious retreat nestled in the heart of a picturesque valley. Its glass facade shimmered under the sunlight, and its manicured garden seemed too perfect to be real. For Marcus, Andrea, and their two children, 10-year-old Elijah and 7-year-old Mia, this was more than just a vacation. It was a celebration. They had saved for months to afford this weekend getaway, eager to create memories they would cherish forever. Elijah tugged on his father's sleeve, pointing at the fountain near the entrance where water danced gracefully, in intricate patterns. "Dad, look," he exclaimed, his eyes wide with wonder. Marcus chuckled, ruffling his son's hair. "Looks like we're in for quite the adventure," he said warmly. Behind them, Mia clutched her stuffed bunny tightly, peeking shyly around her mother's legs. Andrea smiled down at her daughter, squeezing her hand reassuringly. "This is going to be so much fun," she promised. As they approached the grand double doors, a uniformed bellhop greeted them with a polite nod before whisking away their luggage. Inside, the lobby was even more breathtaking than they had imagined. Crystal chandeliers hung from high ceilings, casting soft light over marble floors that gleamed like mirrors. A harpist played soothing melodies in one corner, while guests lounged comfortably on plush sofas, sipping coffee or tea. It felt like stepping into another world, one far removed from the hustle and bustle of everyday life. Andrea glanced at Marcus, who gave her a small, knowing smile. This was exactly what they needed. A break from work deadlines, school projects, and household chores. As they made their way toward the reception desk, the kids marveled at the ornate decorations and the scent of fresh flowers wafting through the air. At the front desk stood Claire Bennett, the hotel's receptionist. She was impeccably dressed, in a tailored white blouse and black pencil skirt, her blonde hair pulled back into a sleek bun. Her expression, however, was anything but welcoming. From the moment the Johnsons approached, something shifted in her demeanor. Her lips pressed into a thin line as she took in their casual attire, jeans and sneakers, and her gaze lingered a fraction too long on Marcus, then Andrea, before settling dismissively on the children. "Good morning," Andrea began brightly, leaning slightly forward to catch Claire's attention. "We have a reservation under Johnson." Claire didn't respond immediately. Instead, she tapped slowly on her keyboard, her fingers moving deliberately as if buying time. When she finally spoke, her tone was clipped and cold. "Let me see," she drawled, dragging out the words unnecessarily. Then, without looking up, she added, "Are you sure you're at the right hotel? Some people mix us up with other places downtown." The comment hung in the air, sharp and unexpected. Andrea blinked, caught off guard by the insinuation. Beside her, Marcus stiffened, his jaw tightening ever so slightly. He placed a calming hand on Andrea's shoulder, silently urging her not to react. But Elijah, perceptive as always, frowned up at his parents. "What does she mean?" he whispered loudly enough for everyone nearby to hear. Claire's lips curled faintly, though whether in amusement or disdain was unclear. Before anyone could say another word, she sighed dramatically and continued typing. "Well, let's see what we can do," she muttered under her breath, her lack of enthusiasm palpable. For the Johnsons, the magic of the hotel began to dim almost instantly. What should have been a joyful start to their vacation now carried an undertone of tension. Little did they know this encounter was only the beginning of a journey that would test their patience, resilience, and ultimately, their faith in humanity. Claire's dismissive attitude lingered in the air like a dark cloud, casting an uncomfortable shadow over the Johnson family. Andrea forced a smile, trying to mask her growing unease as she leaned closer to the reception desk. "We booked our stay weeks ago," she said firmly but politely, her voice steady despite the knot forming in her stomach. "It's under Johnson. Could you please check again?" Claire let out another exaggerated sigh, her fingers moving lazily across the keyboard. She glanced up briefly, her blue eyes cold and uninviting. Strange," she murmured, though there was no curiosity, in her tone only thinly veiled skepticism. "I don't see anything here." Her words landed like a punch, leaving the family stunned. Marcus stepped forward, his tall frame commanding attention. His deep voice carried a quiet authority when he spoke. "Are you sure? It's possible there might have been a mix-up with the system." He kept his tone calm, refusing to let Claire's behavior rattle him completely. But inside, frustration simmered just beneath the surface. Claire tilted her head slightly, feigning concern. "Oh dear, that is unfortunate," she replied, her words dripping with insincerity. "But I'm afraid if your reservation isn't showing up, there's really nothing I can do about it." She offered a tight-lipped smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Perhaps you should try somewhere else." Andrea felt heat rise to her cheeks. Was this woman implying they weren't good enough for the Grand Serenity Hotel? She clenched her fists by her sides, fighting the urge to argue further. Instead, she pulled out her phone, scrolling quickly through her emails until she found the confirmation notice from the hotel. Holding it up, she slid it across the counter toward Claire. "Here it is," she said evenly, her voice tinged with determination. "See for yourself." Claire barely glanced at the screen before waving it off dismissively. "Printed confirmations aren't always accurate," she said coolly. "You'd think people would know better than to rely on those these days." Elijah frowned deeply, watching the exchange unfold. He tugged on his mom's sleeve, whispering loudly enough for everyone nearby to hear. "Why is she being so mean?" Andrea knelt down beside him, placing a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "Don't worry, sweetheart," she whispered back. "We'll figure this out." Mia, sensing the tension, clung tighter to her father's leg, her stuffed bunny pressed against her chest. Marcus picked her up gently, cradling her close as he turned his focus back to Claire. "Look," he said, his patience wearing thin. "We've traveled a long way to get here. We paid for this stay, and we deserve to be treated fairly. Is there someone else we can speak to who might be able to help us?" Claire raised an eyebrow, clearly unimpressed by Marcus's request. "Well," she drawled, tapping her nails against the counter, "our manager is currently unavailable. Maybe you could come back later?" Her tone suggested she doubted they'd bother returning at all. The blatant disregard stung deeply. Andrea exchanged a glance with Marcus, silently communicating their shared frustration. They had worked hard for this trip, a chance to escape the stresses of daily life and give their children a taste of luxury. Now, standing in this opulent lobby, they felt more out of place than ever. Just as Andrea opened her mouth to respond, a soft voice interrupted the tense moment. "Is everything all right here?" A man in a crisp suit approached the desk, his warm smile immediately putting the Johnsons at ease. He introduced himself as Mr. Thompson, the assistant manager. His presence seemed to shift the atmosphere entirely. Where Claire exuded hostility, Mr. Thompson radiated kindness. "We were just explaining to your staff that our reservation isn't appearing in the system," Andrea explained, relief washing over her features. Mr. Thompson nodded sympathetically, glancing briefly at Claire before turning his full attention to the family. "Let me take care of this for you," he assured them, his voice sincere. "Please allow me to make this right." For the first time since arriving, the Johnsons began to feel hopeful. Yet, lingering beneath the surface was the bitter aftertaste of Claire's treatment, a reminder that not everyone saw them as equals. As Mr. Thompson led them away from the reception desk, promising to resolve the issue, Andrea couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't the end of their ordeal. Something told her that the events of this day would leave a lasting mark, not only on their vacation, but also on how they viewed the world around them. Mr. Thompson ushered the Johnson family to a quiet corner of the lobby, away from prying eyes and the judgmental gaze of Claire. He gestured for them to sit on a plush velvet sofa, while he pulled up a chair opposite them, his demeanor calm and professional, yet undeniably kind. "I apologize for any inconvenience you've experienced. So far," he began, his voice smooth and reassuring, "let's sort this out together." Andrea nodded gratefully, her earlier frustration beginning to ease under Mr. Thompson's attentive presence. Marcus shifted Mia onto his lap, ensuring she felt safe amidst the tension. Elijah sat cross-legged, beside his parents, still visibly upset but trying to stay composed. The contrast between Mr. Thompson's warmth and Claire's frostiness was stark, and not lost on anyone in the family. Pulling out his tablet, Mr. Thompson reviewed their reservation details carefully. After a few moments, his brow furrowed, slightly. "Ah, I see the issue now," he said, tapping the screen thoughtfully. "It appears there was an administrative error during data entry. Your booking wasn't properly logged into our system." He looked up at Andrea and Marcus, apologetically. "This is entirely on us, and I assure you we'll make it right immediately." Relief washed over Andrea's face, though a flicker of skepticism remained. She glanced at Marcus, who gave her a small nod, silently urging her to trust the process. For now. "Thank you," she said softly, her gratitude genuine despite everything they'd been through already. Mr. Thompson smiled warmly. "Of course, let me confirm your suite arrangements and ensure everything is prepared for your stay." With a few quick taps, he finalized their booking, then stood up and extended his hand. "Welcome to the Grand Serenity Hotel, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson. Please allow me to personally escort you to your room once your luggage arrives." The gesture was unexpected but deeply appreciated. As the family followed Mr. Thompson toward the elevators, the grandeur of the hotel seemed to reclaim its charm. Elijah marveled at the golden elevator doors as they opened with a soft chime, while Mia giggled when Mr. Thompson pressed the button for the penthouse floor. For a brief moment, it felt like things might actually turn around. Their suite was breathtaking, a spacious haven with floor-to-ceiling windows offering panoramic views of the valley below. Sunlight streamed in, illuminating the elegant furniture and luxurious decor. A bouquet of fresh flowers adorned the dining table, accompanied by a handwritten note welcoming the Johnsons to the hotel. It was clear that Mr. Thompson had gone above and beyond to restore their faith in the establishment. "This is incredible," Andrea whispered, stepping onto the balcony to take in the view. Marcus joined her, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. "Looks like things are looking up," he murmured, kissing her temple gently. But just as the family began to relax, a knock at the door interrupted their moment. When Marcus opened it, Claire stood there holding a tray with complimentary refreshments. Her expression was unreadable, neither apologetic nor hostile, but her presence alone sent a chill through the room. Without making eye contact, she set the tray down briskly and turned to leave. "Wait!" Andrea called after her, her voice firm but controlled. Claire paused, glancing back reluctantly. "We didn't deserve how you treated us earlier," Andrea continued, her words measured but filled with quiet strength. "It wasn't okay, and it shouldn't happen to anyone else either." Claire hesitated, her lips parting as if to respond, but no words came out. Instead, she simply nodded curtly before walking away, leaving behind an awkward silence. Elijah broke it first, tugging on his mom's sleeve. "Do you think she'll ever say sorry?" he asked innocently. Andrea knelt down to meet his gaze, brushing a stray curl from his forehead. "Sometimes people don't know how to admit when they're wrong," she explained gently. "But what matters most is how we choose to handle situations like this, with kindness and grace." As the family settled into their suite, the weight of Claire's actions lingered in the background. While Mr. Thompson's intervention had restored some of their joy, the incident had planted seeds of doubt about whether everyone deserved a second chance, or if some people were beyond redemption. Little did they know, the next chapter of their journey would challenge those beliefs even further. As evening descended, the Grand Serenity Hotel transformed into a scene straight out of a fairy tale. Twinkling lights strung across the lobby ceiling cast a warm glow, and soft music played in the background, inviting guests to unwind after a long day. The Johnson family, still processing the events of their arrival, decided to make the most of their stay. They dressed in their finest clothes, Andrea in a flowing navy dress, Marcus in a sharp blazer, and the kids in outfits that made them feel like royalty, and headed downstairs for dinner at the hotel's renowned restaurant, the Crystal Chandelier. The hostess greeted them warmly, leading them to a table by the window where they could admire the illuminated gardens outside. For a while, the earlier tension seemed distant as the family enjoyed the ambiance. Elijah marveled at the live string quartet playing classical melodies, while Mia giggled when a waiter presented her with a tiny flower as a gift. Andrea and Marcus exchanged smiles, grateful for moments like these that reminded them why they had come here in the first place. But just as their appetizers arrived, Claire appeared once again. This time she was carrying a pitcher of water, refilling glasses at nearby tables. When she reached theirs, she hesitated, her hand trembling slightly as she poured water into their glasses. Her eyes darted toward Andrea, then quickly away, as though unsure whether to acknowledge her or not. "Thank you," Andrea said softly, breaking the silence. Claire froze mid-pour, her cheeks flushing pink. She opened her mouth as if to respond, but quickly closed it again, offering only a stiff nod before hurrying off. Elijah frowned, watching her go. "Why is she acting so weird?" he asked, his voice tinged with confusion. Marcus leaned forward, resting his elbows on the table. "Sometimes people struggle with admitting they were wrong," he explained gently. "It's not easy for everyone to apologize." Andrea nodded thoughtfully, though her expression hinted at lingering frustration. "Still," she murmured, "it doesn't change how we felt earlier today." Their conversation shifted as plates of steaming food arrived, filling the air with delicious aromas. Roasted chicken, creamy pasta, and fresh salads adorned the table, and for a brief moment, the family allowed themselves to savor the luxury around them. Yet beneath the surface, unresolved emotions simmered quietly. Later that night, as the children drifted off to sleep in their cozy beds, Andrea and Marcus stood on the balcony overlooking the serene valley below. The stars twinkled above, casting a peaceful glow over the landscape. But even in this tranquil setting, the weight of Claire's behavior lingered between them. "What do you think will happen tomorrow?" Andrea asked quietly, leaning against the railing. Marcus sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. "I don't know," he admitted. "Mr. Thompson seems genuine about making things right, but Claire, I'm not sure she'll ever see us differently." Before Andrea could respond, a faint knock sounded at the door. Curious, Marcus went to investigate, opening it to find Mr. Thompson standing there holding an envelope. "Good evening," he said politely, handing over the envelope. "I wanted to personally deliver this. It's a token of appreciation for your patience today. Please accept it as our way of ensuring your stay remains memorable." Inside the envelope was a handwritten note and 2 tickets to the hotel's exclusive gala event scheduled for the following evening. Andrea gasped when she saw them. "This is incredible," she whispered, her eyes widening. Marcus nodded, equally surprised. "Looks like they're pulling out all the stops." Yet, even as excitement bubbled within them, questions lingered. Would attending the gala bring closure, or more challenges? And what role would Claire play in the days ahead? As they tucked the tickets safely away, the Johnsons couldn't shake the feeling that their journey was far from over. The luxurious surroundings and kind gestures might have softened the edges of their experience, but the core issue remained unresolved. Tomorrow would bring new opportunities, and perhaps new tests of resilience. The next evening, the Johnson family prepared for the gala with a mix of excitement and apprehension. Andrea carefully styled her hair, opting for an elegant updo that complemented her shimmering emerald gown. Marcus adjusted his tie in the mirror, ensuring every detail was perfect. Meanwhile, Elijah and Mia twirled around the room in their formal attire, giggling as they imagined themselves at a royal ball. As they descended to the grand ballroom, the scene took their breath away. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling like constellations, casting a soft glow over the opulent space. Long tables draped in white linens were adorned with cascading floral arrangements, while a live orchestra played classical music that filled the air with elegance. Guests mingled gracefully, their laughter blending seamlessly with the ambiance. Yet amidst the splendor, Andrea couldn't shake the nagging feeling that something, or someone, might disrupt the night. Her eyes scanned the room instinctively, searching for Claire. To her relief, there was no sign of the receptionist. For now it seemed they could enjoy themselves without confrontation. Mr. Thompson greeted them warmly near the entrance, his smile genuine and inviting. "I'm so glad you could join us," he said, guiding them toward their reserved table near the center of the room. "Tonight is all about celebrating moments like these. Please, let me know if there's anything I can do to make your experience even better." The family settled into their seats, marveling at the extravagance surrounding them. Waiters circulated with trays of hors d'oeuvres, offering delicacies that looked almost too beautiful to eat. Elijah reached eagerly for a miniature quiche, while Mia shyly accepted a sparkling grape juice served in a crystal flute. Andrea and Marcus exchanged smiles, savoring the rare opportunity to feel truly pampered. But just as dessert was being served, a decadent chocolate fondue station, the pie atmosphere shifted unexpectedly. A microphone crackled to life on stage, drawing everyone's attention. Mr. Thompson stepped forward, his presence commanding yet comforting. "Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us tonight," he began, his voice carrying across the room. "It is my honor to introduce our guest speaker, someone who has dedicated her career to promoting inclusivity and understanding within the hospitality industry." Her words hung heavy in the air, raw and unfiltered. Andrea felt tears prick her eyes, unsure whether to feel anger or sympathy. Marcus placed a reassuring hand over hers, silently reminding her to listen with an open heart. Elijah leaned closer, whispering, "Is she really sorry?" Claire concluded her speech with a shaky smile. "Thank you for allowing me to share this moment. I hope to prove through actions more than words that I am committed to doing better, for you, for this hotel, and for myself." When she stepped down from the stage, the room erupted into polite applause. As guests returned to their conversations, Andrea turned to Marcus, her expression conflicted. "Do we believe her?" she asked softly. Marcus sighed, his brow furrowed. "That's not the question. The real question is, are we willing to give her a chance to show us she means it?" The gala ended on a bittersweet note, leaving the Johnsons with much to ponder. While Claire's apology had been unexpected, trust wasn't easily rebuilt. And as they left the ballroom, one thing became clear. Their vacation and its lessons was far from over. The morning after the gala, sunlight streamed through the suite's floor-to-ceiling windows, casting golden patterns across the room. The Johnson family gathered around the dining table for breakfast, their conversation revolving around Claire's unexpected apology. Andrea sipped her coffee thoughtfully, her mind replaying the receptionist's words from the night before. "She looked so sincere," she murmured, setting her cup down. "But sincerity doesn't always mean change." Marcus nodded, spreading jam on a slice of toast. "You're right. Words are one thing. Actions are another. We'll have to see how she behaves moving forward." Elijah and Mia listened quietly, their young faces reflecting confusion about why grown-ups sometimes made things so complicated. As they finished their meal, a soft knock sounded at the door. When Marcus opened it, he found Mr. Thompson standing there with a warm smile. "Good morning," he greeted them cheerfully. "I hope you enjoyed last night's event. I wanted to personally invite you to join us for a special activity today, a private tour of the hotel's art gallery followed by lunch in the garden pavilion." Andrea exchanged a glance with Marcus, intrigued. "That sounds lovely," she replied graciously. "Thank you for thinking of us." The family agreed to participate, eager to explore more of the hotel's offerings. As they made their way to the gallery, they noticed Claire stationed near the entrance, assisting other guests. She spotted them immediately, her cheeks flushing as she approached hesitantly. "Good morning," she said softly, her voice trembling slightly. "I just wanted to say thank you for letting me speak last night. It meant a lot." Elijah peeked out from behind his mom, studying Claire curiously. "Are you really sorry?" he asked bluntly, his innocent tone cutting straight to the heart of the matter. Claire knelt down to meet his gaze, her expression earnest. "Yes, Elijah, I am truly sorry for how I acted. I never should have treated your family that way." Her vulnerability seemed genuine, but Andrea remained cautious. "We appreciate your apology," she said diplomatically. But actions speak louder than words. Let's see how things go from here. Claire nodded solemnly, stepping aside to let them pass. As the family entered the gallery, they were greeted by an array of stunning paintings and sculptures curated from artists around the world. Each piece told a story, evoking emotions ranging from joy to introspection. For a while, the beauty of the artwork distracted them from the lingering tension outside. During the guided tour, however, Claire reappeared unexpectedly, not as staff, but as part of the group. Mr. Thompson introduced her briefly, explaining that she had volunteered to assist during the event. Her presence created an awkward undercurrent, though no one mentioned it outright. Instead, the family focused on the art, using its themes of resilience and redemption to reflect silently on their own situation. At one point, Mia tugged on Andrea's hand, pointing at a vibrant painting depicting two figures reaching toward each other across a divide. "It looks like they're trying to fix something," she observed innocently. Andrea smiled, crouching beside her. "Maybe they are," she agreed softly. "Sometimes fixing things takes time and effort from both sides." By the time lunch arrived, the atmosphere had shifted subtly. Claire worked diligently to assist the guests, her movements careful and respectful. When she brought the Johnsons their meals, she lingered just long enough to offer a small gesture of goodwill, a handwritten note tucked beneath their napkins. Andrea unfolded it cautiously, reading the simple message aloud. "Thank you for giving me a chance to prove myself. I won't let you down." Her voice wavered slightly, touched by the sincerity behind the words. Marcus placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "This is her opportunity to show us who she really is," he said gently. "Let's give her the benefit of the doubt, for now." As they dined amidst the fragrant blooms of the garden pavilion, the Johnsons couldn't help but feel hopeful. Forgiveness wasn't easy, but it was possible. And perhaps in this luxurious setting surrounded by beauty and second chances, true growth could begin, not just for Claire, but for everyone involved. The final day of the Johnson family's stay at the Grand Serenity Hotel dawned bright and clear, as if nature itself wanted to celebrate the possibility of new beginnings. Andrea stood on the balcony, sipping her morning coffee while watching the sun rise over the valley below. The events of the past few days played in her mind like a movie. Claire's initial hostility, her public apology, and the tentative steps toward reconciliation that followed. It had been an emotional roller coaster, but Andrea couldn't deny that something had shifted, not just within Claire, but within herself as well. Marcus joined her on the balcony, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. "What are you thinking about?" he asked softly, his voice carrying a note of curiosity. "I'm thinking about how much can change in such a short time," Andrea replied, leaning into his embrace. "We came here expecting a relaxing vacation, and instead we got life lessons." Marcus chuckled lightly. "Life has a funny way of teaching us things when we least expect it." He paused, glancing back at the kids, who were still asleep, in their room. "Do you think we'll ever fully trust Claire?" Andrea sighed, her gaze fixed on the horizon. "Trust isn't built overnight, but I believe she's trying, and sometimes that's all anyone can ask for." As they prepared to check out, the family packed their belongings with mixed emotions. Elijah and Mia chattered excitedly about their favorite moments: the fountain in the lobby, the chocolate fondue at the gala, and the beautiful paintings from the art gallery. Yet beneath their excitement was a quiet awareness that this trip had been more than just fun. It had taught them about kindness, forgiveness, and understanding. When they reached the reception desk, Claire was there waiting for them. Gone was the cold indifference from their first encounter. Instead, she greeted them with a warm, albeit nervous smile. "Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson," she said politely. "I hope your stay has been enjoyable." "It has," Andrea responded, her tone measured but kind. "Thank you for everything, including the note yesterday." Claire's cheeks flushed slightly, but she held Andrea's gaze steadily. "I meant every word of it," she said sincerely. "I know I have a long way to go, but I truly want to do better. For you, for this hotel, and for myself." Elijah stepped forward, his young face earnest. "Does this mean you're not going to be mean anymore?" he asked bluntly, earning a gentle nudge from Marcus. Claire laughed softly, the sound genuine and unguarded. "No, Elijah. I promise I'll try my best to treat everyone with respect from now on." Touched by her honesty, Andrea extended her hand. After a moment's hesitation, Claire shook it firmly, sealing the fragile bond between them. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start, a foundation upon which trust could grow. Mr. Thompson appeared shortly after, ensuring their departure went smoothly. As he handed them a small keepsake box containing mementos from their stay, he smiled warmly. "Thank you for reminding us what truly matters," he said, his gratitude evident. "Your family has left a lasting impact here, not just on Claire, but on all of us." Driving away from the hotel, the Johnsons reflected on their journey. They had arrived hoping for relaxation and returned home with something far greater, a renewed sense of empathy and resilience. While Claire's transformation was still unfolding, the seeds of change had been planted, and that was enough. As the car wound its way down the mountain road, Mia pressed her face against the window, waving goodbye to the hotel one last time. "Will we come back someday?" she asked dreamily. "Maybe," Andrea replied, exchanging a knowing look with Marcus. "But no matter where we go, we'll always carry these memories and the lessons with us." In the end, their trip hadn't just been about escaping daily life. It had been about finding strength in adversity and beauty in second chances. And as the hotel disappeared from view, the Johnsons knew their hearts would forever hold a piece of the grand serenity. This conclusion ties up loose ends while leaving room for reflection, offering readers a satisfying yet thought-provoking ending. Let me know if you'd like any adjustments or additional details.